Unicorn Riot, and we are here with Winn. Winn, can you tell me a little about yourself?
I'm a security guy. I've been doing security since 1983. I guess what got me well known way back was when I testified before Congress and said an electronic Pearl Harbor is coming, and now that phrase is being reused, so a lot of the work I did 35 years ago is coming back into vogue.
Wow, what is an electronic Pearl Harbor?
Well, the way they look at it today is very similar to the way we looked at it back in the late 80s, early 90s, would be adversaries taking down significant portions of the infrastructures, whether it's financial, transportation, communications, and power. Those are the four big ones that I focused on back in the 80s. And now we've got more critical infrastructures, but they're all inextricably tied together. And there are cascade effects that can occur. Depends upon what the goals and motivations of the adversary is, and how willing we are as a society to turn things off. If we see something that drastic coming, to turn things off. I lived through both New York blackouts, and so I've been there and I know what they're like.
So what was the outcome of you testifying in front of Congress, or have we made any progress?
Oh my God. One of the quotes that I still use out of that was from Congressman Glickman, and he said, "Mr. Schwartau, why on earth would the bad guys ever want to use the internet?" And that there's a degree of apathy, arrogance, and ignorance that is still permeating the swamp of DC, if you will. It's a good talking game, but nobody has fundamentally really changed the way we do security since it was first formalized in 1972. So we're doing shit the same way we did it then. Didn't work then, doesn't work now.
What can we do, or what do you think we should do?
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm prepared for. Back in '95 in Warsaw, at a bar, on a napkin, a buddy and I were sketching out some formulas on some ideas on how to model and conceptualize security differently. And then I wrote a book called Time-Based Security on it, which was very, very simple. And it basically said, in order to be able to claim you have any level of security, you have to know that your protective device, your firewall, your password, whatever technology you're using, has to be able to sustain an attack longer, for more time than it takes you to detect the bad guys doing something and react to it. If you do that, you can then claim you have a secure environment. Fast forward 20 years, my new book, Analog Network Security, it looks at time as the fundamental metric within security, and we're never going to achieve perfect security. Never going to happen. We're never going to have zero security, so everything is in the middle. So the questions that are being asked, the techniques that are being done with all the next generation crap the vendors are putting out, is just rehashing the same old, I'm not sure how secure I am. So the first thing that you have to do is learn how to measure security. So in the book, we've got a whole series of schematics and formulas. Here's how you actually can measure security in the time domain. Here's how you can measure the performance level and efficacy of a vendor product, which they're not going to be too happy with. And once you understand how to actually measure it, then you can compare products. And once you understand that, then you can start designing the code in applications for your internetworking to be able to invoke this time domain and manage the time domain. And once you've done that, you then can understand and actually visualize your security. And all sorts of good things happen that don't work well without napkins and drawings and all that. It's not just full of words. The theories have been vetted by some of the finest security and mathematicians in the world. They thus far have found no holes in it, and we believe that we now have justifiable security, and that it can be replicated in the human domain, in the physical domain, and in the cyber domain. So the book's been out 2 days, and we're really anxious to see what the response of people playing with the ideas and actually making them and testing them in the real world is going to be like.
You think it's something that's scalable through time? I mean, it's going to be something that can last for a while, and has it been implemented anywhere yet?
There have been a couple of implementations. If you look at on your mobile app, at least on my mobile app for my bank, sometimes it says, hey, I want to verify that it's really you again. And so I'll do something and it'll say, I'm going to call you, or I'm going to give you a 6-digit code out of band, and you have to answer it within a certain amount of time to be able to enter it back in to revalidate yourself. That is a time-based approach using an out-of-band circuit that we employ very heavily in analog network security. So we've seen a few implementations like that, but from a build it up from the bottom, no, not yet. This is so new. We wanted to be able to provide the formal math and the structure so that people can design from confidence instead of guessing.
Can you talk about your ties to Defcon? How do you get involved here at Defcon? How are you involved?
Oh my God. Way back when, 25, 26 years ago, Jeff did Defcon 1, and I said, this is really good, but you ought to have some fun and games. It's too serious. He goes, what do you want to do? And I said, well, how about Hacker Jeopardy? So in addition to speaking at the early cons, I started Hacker Jeopardy and ran that for 20 years, and then handed the reins over to somebody else to do that. And so I've talked here. I help out with the kids a lot. I run Jeopardy for the kids now. I try not to walk too much because it's but I've been involved in many levels for 26 years.
So I guess speaking of the kids, I mean, can you talk a little bit about how somebody could kind of get involved in what you do, like as a start? You know, where can they start?
Start at Defcon is go back and online at home, go look at it, go watch some of the talks, see what you're interested in. The books, the community has an amazing amount of resources online. There's Defcon 101, how to get through it. The biggest thing that a noob needs to understand is that it is too big to do. You cannot do Defcon. You need to say, here is what I'd like to do on, okay, I can get a few hours in on this and a few hours on this. I'm interested in biohacking. I'm interested in drones. I want to learn how to lockpick. Whatever you want to do, pick a couple things and don't try to do everything. Defcon is what you make it. It is your conference to do your way, and don't be scared, and don't try to bullshit people. If you don't know, say, hey, I don't know, I'm a noob, please teach me, and everybody will be glad to help you. And don't be intimidated, which is really hard with 30,000 people when you're walking in as a noob. But also come with a friend and find somebody. Get involved with one of the Defcon groups. At your local meetups, get involved with the meetups. So the community is huge and it's global. I'm headed over to Europe again to do some meetups in England and France, just because they're fun to do and they're small groups without 30,000 people.
Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen evolve from Defcon 1 till now? I mean, something that interests you or is relevant.
Well, the biggest thing that people have heard probably about Defcon is how insane it is and crazy. And in the early days, oh shit, good thing there wasn't social media back in those days. Politically incorrect would be putting it mildly. Then again, an awful lot of the people here were there, and they were kids, and they are all guilty of having done something wrong. Defcon is a lot more controlled. It's more adultish. The people that have been involved with it for a long time. I mean, Jeff was, 22 years old when he began it or something. And I guess my first one, I was 40, so I was already on the old side. And it is stabilized from a behavioral standpoint. So if you're hearing insane, crazy stories, you can go find it, but it's not going to be in your face like it used to be. The biggest thing for me that I really enjoy is now the villages, the big, huge talks and all of that. I can get that anywhere. I want to interact with smaller groups of people that are experts and smarter than me in those areas, so I can learn something and do it one-on-one. And like here in the Drone Village, you can touch and play and what have you. So I have been very attracted to the villages for the last several years versus the mainstream big stuff.
Can we talk a little bit about like the impetus to start Defcon? What was brewing before the first Defcon happened?
You had mostly phreaking, telephone phreaking stuff. There were there were security conferences that were boring as hell. Oh my God! And back in those days, I'd cause hell on stage because it was like, wait a minute, we need to talk about the vendors and all the stuff. And so there were a lot of security conferences back in the day, largely tied to what we used to call MIS, Management Information Systems, audit, and then the feds, of course. So there were lots of conferences like that. And Jeff began this just as, I want to get together with a few of my friends and have a party. Oh, Vegas is fun. Cool. And that's where it began, as something very, very unassuming, very small. And then every year it's been getting to what you're seeing now.
Where do you see DEFCON going in the future? What are some goals that you or some of the people you founded it with share?
For me, I want to see more of the kids. I'd like to see Roots really much bigger. One of the great things is to, because I hosted Jeopardy for so long and now I'm doing the Jeopardy for kids, we had to first of all figure out, how do you torture kids and not go to jail? So we have penalties for the children, but the cool part is that the parents that are there, I used to torture them in the Jeopardy 15 years ago. So it's all coming around. So I love dealing with the kids because they are so unfiltered and brutally honest, and I love that. And the preconceived notions aren't really there yet. So really engaging with them is great. I think we should be doing more of that. And I also think that we need to be doing more of ethics and how technology. I'm not a big fan of nano and AI merging. I've got some issues with that. I'm not trying to echo Elon, but we do agree that is, I see bad potential. I would like to see more future thinking, more of what is going to happen. I'm bored with old zero-day hacks and all of that. It's annoying as hell that we have an IoT village and an IoT industry that still hasn't responded to fixing anything. And IoT is a disaster. So what our industry has been doing is ignoring the history, ignoring the past, because there's some insane hope that if they repeat it all over again, it might work this time. And with every new technology that's come out in the last 40 years, it's still been a repeat of the exact same problems all over again, but more so. Now what do we have? More devices than people on the planet. We have 10 or 20 times more of sensors, and that's only the beginning. So I want to see more future work and more planning, more design. I hate to use the word legislation. However, I've been doing some work with policymakers with regards to analog security, and it was good. I got to do it in Canada, so it was like a political free zone. And I said, okay, if we now know how to measure security, and if we can do all this, how will that affect legislation and liability for when products fail and or are misused? How is that going to have an impact? And I'm no policy guy, but I wanted to throw these questions at them to start thinking about, if we do have the answer to being able to fix security, there has to be some sort of accountability down the line for the people that are either designing it or implementing it. For an interview, I do a lot of interviews, and I like cogent, intelligent questions versus, how do you feel?
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Oh, my wife and I go, no, how do you make it feel? Like, I mean, I have a lot of answers for that, but so this is a PG show, right? No, I like intelligent questions. Thank you.